Hello and welcome everyone back to the Gaming Dads podcast, episode number 8. We're actually above the number of podcast episodes this time around. We're up to 4 now in succession rather than 3. So we're rolling. We're keeping it going. My name is Scotch. On the line with me is Tharoah. How are you doing, my good friend?
Doing great. Sounded really good today. I'm really happy that we were able to find this way to record to where, I mean, it sounds like we drove and met in like Tennessee or Kentucky just to do the podcast. So we'll just act like that's what it is.
Okay. Zencaster, this new application that we're using. Tharoah, you found this. You did the research on this, man. So thank you so much for doing that, putting in the work there. But,
Absolutely.
Upgrades on the podcast. Of course, we're still going to be on YouTube. I'll be posting a video with some gameplay on there with this audio. But we'll also, where else are we at? We're on Spotify, we're on iTunes. I mean, again, this is, I want to give big shout outs to Tharoah here. You've done a ton of work here, and so I want you to talk about that.
Absolutely. So now, not only on YouTube, we're on Anchor, Breaker, Radio Public, Spotify, iTunes, Google, Castbox, Overcast, and Pocket Cast.
So basically, anywhere that you can find a podcast, we're there now.
Yeah, there's no excuse to not listen to us, you know. And something to kind of foreshadow next week, we actually have a little ad that we need to record here in the next week or so. So maybe little sponsorships coming down the road for Gaming Dads podcast.
Yeah. So make sure to show your friends. We're making it as easy as possible to listen to the podcast. Again, we're just having fun doing this, trying to provide some content, a little bit of video game joy during this pandemic era and then beyond that as well. But on to the podcast itself. Now, listen, Tharoah, last time we talked to Charlie Brown last week, but the week before that, we talked about getting rid of stuff in 2021, right? And not a lot of positivity. We just kind of hammered on stuff that in the video game culture that we wanted to get rid of. So I wanted to bring a little bit of positivity into it because we have seen positive stuff in the gaming community, and I want to make sure to highlight that. So rather than get rid of it in 2021, what are some things that you want to keep in 2021? And we'll just go back and forth. I'll let you start.
And, you know, for me, for those of you that follow me on Twitter, you saw there was a long post that I posted just kind of about things that I've been going through, personal struggles with streaming and speedrunning and things. And you know, for me, speedrun everything. You know, every speedrun out there, there's not a bad speedrun. There's not a bad speed game. Speedrun everything. I was watching a buddy of mine, and so shout out to Zach. He was speedrunning last night. What is that Star Wars MMO?
You can speedrun a Star Wars MMO?
Yes.
What?
Yeah. So like he was speedrunning that, and it was really cool to watch, and you know, have fun with it, enjoy it. You know, I referred back in my tweet about the fire that I had for Twitch and streaming back in 2017, and I want everyone to experience that. I want you know, everyone to pick up that game and like, oh my God, I could speedrun this. This is really cool. And now that GQ is going on, there's of course more buzz in the speedrunning world. And this is when people decide to pick up speedrunning. They see all of the crazy things that people can speedrun, and who cares what everybody else says? If you want to speedrun, you know, Rugrats Go to Paris on the N64, do it. You know,
iCarly. Shout out to
Carly. Right. So, you know, my thing is that I would like to normalize a good speed game, a bad speed game. You know, that's up to whoever's playing it.
Well, to that point, one of the things that I did when I first started speedrunning, you know, I picked up Super Mario 64, but then I also picked up the original Donkey Kong. on the NES, and those two games are so dramatically different, right? You've got Super Mario 64, which is so highly intensive to, you got to pay attention to everything at every single moment, right? You got to be thinking ahead.
Right.
Donkey Kong, not so much. I mean, you got to pay attention to the game. There's no down period per se, but it's not like super duper intensive, and it's a super easy speed run to pick up. Another one that I picked up was Pokemon Stadium. I mean, that's literally you press a button and then you sit for a minute.
Exactly.
It's great. And then you've got really quick speed runs, like I think it's Super Flight. I've got a world record doing that. I mean, I literally got the world record in a couple hours because it's a 15-second speed run.
Right.
So
and that's
I mean,
where, like, I've really looked into retro games here recently.
Retro gaming is so good as far as speedrunning goes. There's such a variety.
I was watching Arcus yesterday play some, it was like Skull and Crossbones or something. It was a terribly designed game, but he was having a blast just playing through the game. And so I'm really looking into retro. I mean, even people are speedrunning, hold on, let's see. Granny Simulator.
There you go.
Know?
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter. Like, it honestly doesn't matter. Now, the only one that's really sticking out of my mind is Surgeon Simulator, which is absolutely insane. Like, have you played Surgeon Simulator?
I have not, but I've seen the gameplay and everything. It makes me laugh to think of speedrunning that.
So yeah, apparently a heart transplant, the world record is 7 seconds.
Nice.
And my point is, just do your thing. Do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
Don't listen to this is a good speed game, this is a bad speed game, and just do what makes you happy.
Play all the speed games. Well, for me, the first one I'd like to talk about is Discord. Keep it in 2021. I mean, as far as this whole pandemic thing goes, we've seen how like disconnected we can get if we aren't building, if we aren't together, right? Like we can't, if we can't be in the same room, if we can't, basically touch each other, not I don't mean to make that sound weird, but as far as I can't like see you like within eye shot, you're not right next to me. I can't physically see you, right?
Exactly.
Because we're so disconnected, right? Like you and I, we do sound like we're together in the same room, but I'm in Florida, you're in Colorado, and like there's a disconnect there, and I really wish that you and I could be in the same room because I feel like there's a continuity there. But Discord has created it so that we can be together, and not only that, but we can build a community. Like I know we've talked about, I've got this growing TikTok community. I don't want to say I'm big, trying to stay humble there, but I've got a growing a TikTok community, and we've built a Discord, and I've just seen that community kind of grow, and it's been this beautiful kind of thing to watch and see how it kind of changes and it diversifies. You build these different channels and you dedicate those channels to different things, and you get different ideas and that sort of thing, and then you can create voice chats and video chats, and it's this beautiful menagerie of different things that you can present and still be together. And that's something that I want to continue.
It changed the world. When people used to play World of Warcraft, they were playing or they were paying for like Ventrilo and TeamSpeak servers. Mm-hmm. Now it's free. It's 100% free. Yeah, I mean, you can get Nitro. However, why bother? You don't even need it.
You don't need it.
Server, and
you really don't.
We've got like 130 people in the Discord, and you don't. So I agree. I'm excited to see what Discord's going to bring to the table. They've really been consistent as a company, and yeah, definitely a keep for 2021.
Yeah.
So before I get to my next one, I do want to play kind of a small clip. Now, Scotch is being incredibly humble when it comes to Scotch's TikTok. So that you're aware, not a big TikToker, however, has 5.5 million likes as of today, 328.7 thousand followers.
It's not that much. I mean,
it is. Hold on, let's compare Tharoah. I think I've got 28 followers.
Comparatively speaking, I mean, you're bigger on Twitch, man. Okay, so
but that's the thing. And I'm going to kind of use this as a bonus keep in 2021. A lot of people don't like TikTok. I enjoy it. It's something I use before I go to bed. But TikTok has done really well for you here recently. And, so yeah, check it out. Give her a stick. I'm going to play this audio for everybody just so that you can kind of get a taste. So hold on just a second. Let me get it up here.
Which one is it going to be?
Oh, yeah, you're going to love it.
Which one is it going to be?
It's going to be a secret one. So hold on. Here we go.
Okay.
The video game made you so mad that you wanted to run a fade with the developers.
Here's a stick. NFL Blitz, I played the single player, and I got so mad at the rubber banding that I punched a hole into the coffee table, into my IKEA coffee table, okay? The rubber banding was so awful, I punched a hole into my IKEA coffee table.
All right, so Scott unfortunately couldn't hear that, but you guys enjoyed it. Scott screaming about the rubber banding being so bad in NFL trips that he punched a hole in his IKEA coffee table.
Oh, okay, that game. Oh my god, I could go on for a day about that game. Midway, I have never wanted to. Oh god, Midway. God.
So yeah, check out Scotch on TikTok if you haven't. Give her a stick, and it started out, just giving his wife like a stick out of the ground, and now my wife has really enjoyed watching the content that Scotch has put out because it's kind of more relatable for both of us, and we think it's funny how now Scotch's wife is kind of expecting that stick now.
Well, that's the funny part about the whole thing is like her listen, I get like. The whole TikTok thing, like that wouldn't be anything without her. Like if it weren't for the fact that my wife was the way she was, like this would not be going the way it is. So shout outs to my wife, but yeah.
That's huge. I mean, I think one episode had like Stickless Cage. Yeah, see. So, and the last thing that I'll say about this little mini section before going on to the next one is if you watch Scotch's TikTok, basically it's every TikTok that he does starts out with "Hey honey,"
"Hey honey,"
and ends with "I love you." So,
it's become like a nice little format of you know when it starts, you know when it ends.
Exactly. So yeah, TikTok and gaming. We talked about it a little bit before. I know that the speedrunning section of TikTok is getting bigger, and that's where I kind of want to segue into, better and more positive communities for people's mental health. And, TikTok is kind of one of those areas that it's just a feel good thing. And this doesn't just run around like speedrunning communities. This runs around like Call of Duty communities and Madden communities and all of this. Guys, we've got to stop tearing each other down. We've got to stop. I would much rather be a part of a community that's helped bringing people up. Like, for example, instead of in Overwatch saying, "Oh my God, you're a no life that's going to be stuck in Plaid because you're blah 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 blah." It's, hey, I saw you were playing Mercy. These are kind of the things you were doing where you're out of position. Let's see what we can do to kind of help that out. Mm-hmm. Right.
Well, and I think that there is a nice middle ground. Right. Where you can you can rag on people. Like let's be real. Video gaming, like especially online gaming, right? You talk about exactly. You can talk about CS:GO. You go into a community. Well, not you go into a casual game of CS:GO. You're gonna get called every single word,
pretty much
ever. Okay, and you just kind of gotta expect that. But I think that everyone that goes onto a CS:GO casual server knows that. But at the same time, there's a line. There's always a line, right? And I think that number one, I think that we have to be more cognizant of people, saying, hey, you've crossed a line, and being like, okay, you know what? I crossed a line. I'm not going to cross that line again. And that's okay. But also, on the flip side, not taking things too seriously. But if again, you cross that line, calling it out and being okay with being called out as far as that goes, because, and, to keep it, we're not going to talk about it too much, just because of the effect that it's had on the speedrunning community, right? Talk about mental health. Apollo Legend, right? That came out recently. I think most of us have seen the video, most of us have seen the doc, and most of us know what happened. It's all mental health based, and and go ahead.
Well, I was just going to kind of comment there. I think my point with this particular topic was that there's a lot of times where, I'm in a lot of Discord communities across a ton of games that I don't even run. And some communities just do it better. Talking about that mental health aspect, where someone will come in and just ask a very low-key question, and they just, oh my god, how do you not know that? And specifically with Apollo Legends passing, and there was a lot of blame kind of tossed around there, and it really sucks that someone had to feel that and experience that. But I don't know, it's a tough situation for me. Like I said, I'm going to refer back to that tweet that I posted earlier on this week about kind of what I'm going through personally. It's really hard. I wish we were in a community where it was more acceptable to be uplifting. I posted that tweet longer, of course, just kind of, and it's nothing really bad. It just kind of expressing how down I've been, and how that fire for streaming is gone, and hasn't really been there for a little while. And the outpouring that I got was phenomenal. People just sending me direct messages and saying, hey, I feel the same way. Hey, what you said really resonated with me. I went into a streamer last night who's been grinding for partner for about 2 or 3 years now, a good friend of mine. I'll shout him out, Tom Shee, who he has talked about this before on his YouTube channel. The same types of feelings. And he said, hey, Pharaoh, look, I'm really sorry that I didn't respond to that, but I want you to know that it really resonated with me. And it helped me realize, hey, I'm not alone in the community. But I think if we were more open with those types of things, and it wasn't looked down upon, I guess, I think we'd be better off. Look, gaming is unlike any other hobby, right? And yeah, there are big age gaps in hobbies, but not like gaming. I mean, we have 7-year-olds all the way up to, Skyrim playing grannies in the community.
Love her. That's awesome. A great reference.
So, we have this huge age gap, huge generational gap where, like my generation, we didn't have internet until I was 14, so I was kind of like in the middle there, and that generational gap really shows within the community. All I'm saying is, as far as like better communities, more positivity, focusing on mental health, I think it needs to be at the forefront. If you ever come to any of my streams, the very top tag, and it has been this way for the past year or so, is mental health. And the reason why is because I want a location where you can come and talk about whatever you want to talk about. And I've had people pop into my stream that I've never seen before say, hey, I noticed that you have this tag. What's that mean? And it sparks a conversation. And that's the lasting impression that I want to leave within these communities.
Yeah. And I think, the big thing for you and me, and I this is the big reason why I've enjoyed the podcast so much, is that you and I are in such a different place than everyone else around us, Right. And we're able to give that perspective, because do we do the Twitch thing a little, like I do it less than you do? Are we trying to do a couple different things? But we're still trying to enjoy video games, but we're in a part of our life where we can't just do Twitch 24/7. We have to go to work. We have to support our families, that sort of thing. And I think that the generation behind us, like directly behind us, I'm talking the kids who are doing Twitch right now, who are between the ages of 16 and 23. I mean, I don't know how long Twitch is going to be viable as an option of income for them. And you know what? Could it be forever? Sure. Dr. Disrespect has proven that. Ninja has proven that. I don't think that that's going to be everyone, though. And I think that that a lot of people are going to come to the realization that Twitch is no longer a viable source of income, and they're going to hit the same wall that you and I are. Right. And they're going to come to the reality of, you know what? I can't do this anymore as the only thing. I need to do something else. And that's okay. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
It is.
But I also want the people to realize, you know, that's tough for us because we're surrounded by people who that's their income and they make so much money off of this one thing, but that thing that we all love, right? And to a certain degree, are we a little jealous? Yeah, we're a little jealous. But we're trying to make it so that it's not coming across that way. But we want people to understand, hey, you know, we're losing that fire because we're watching people around us become successful, and we're not reaching that same spot. Again, that's okay. It's perfectly okay. Right. But yeah, no, and that's why I've enjoyed it is because it's you know, we're in that same spot.
And that's the thing for me is, and we're not trying to say that, you know, online streaming of games or anything like that is not something that's lucrative. It's not an industry that's growing every day. We're saying that, you know, from our perspective, the market is very saturated, and it's very tough for us to dedicate that time. You know, I think the podcast, I'll tell you, I'm so excited with the growth of this podcast. I told Scotch right before recording, so shout outs to the individual. All I see is demographics. So somebody between the ages of 0 and 17 that is a male just watched every episode of the podcast yesterday. So, you know, and we're excited to have you. We're excited to have you as a part of the community because we're seeing that growth. And this is something that we spend a lot of time, you know, trying to provide better content. And I will continue on Twitch. However, I think my mindset's going to change a little bit on how I stream. I'm just going to do it because it's fun. You know, I've got scheduled times where I stream now. That's, you know, worked out with my wife, worked out with my family, worked out with work. And just look at hanging out with friends. Yeah. So, yeah. And I know that you and I have looked at possibly doing a couple of streams coming up here soon. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I got a video cam finally, so it'll look legit. But anyway,
that's amazing.
Better communities, though, for sure. Next topic: smaller developers.
Oh yeah,
keep it in 2021. Okay, I've seen so many small developers just create such good quality games, and it's because of the era that we're in. Big developers aren't able to push themselves as much now because everything's on the internet, everything's on social media. So because of that, you get smaller developers fit in with the bigger developers, so you're able to see other games. You're not just seeing Cyberpunk 2077. Yes, that's the big game right now, but you're also seeing the smaller games. Heck, what's the game? What's the golf game that just came out recently? That's ridiculous golf game.
Friends.
Either Golf with Friends. No, it's not Golf with Friends. What's the other one? I have it on my list. Oh, What the Golf.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, that game is amazing. It's and I think that everyone should play that game. It's a little on the expensive side in my personal opinion, but it's overwhelming. It's got an overwhelmingly positive review on Steam, and I mean, it's just a good game. That's all it is. Like, just plain and simple. And it's a small developer that's made it. It isn't this huge, you know, developer that's made it. So I mean, more smaller games, man, more smaller developers.
Well, and I've got two examples for you. One is Phasmophobia, which we've been playing quite a bit on our stream, or on my stream. It's developed by Kinetic Games. That's two guys competing for a Game of the Year played across Twitch. Actually, I think it won the Game Awards back on December 10th. Best video or best debut game. It did win. Has so far been nominated for the VR Game of the Year for the Steam Awards 2020, and which is actually passed by the time this podcast comes out. But that's only two guys. It's two guys that developed this awesome game. And another shout out, Oddcade, who is actually the one who provides our intro and outro music. Oddcade is an independent developer, an indie developer, and their game is called Brutal Grounds. If you check it out, it's on Steam. And you're a marble and it's a shooting game, so they've got capture the flag and a couple other things, but it's a top-down view. It's so cool. I know they've been streaming on Fridays and Saturday nights, just showcasing their game. But the work that they've put into it, it's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal.
So smaller developers.
But yeah, smaller developers are what's changing the industry now. Look at the absolute, and we've been over this 1,000 times in other episodes, but look at the absolute failure of Cyberpunk. Look at the absolute failure of some of the Assassin's Creed titles. And these are big developers. People are like, we're tired of your crap. There's so many indie games that I play right now on Steam just because if I have an issue with the game right now for Phasmophobia, I can go into their Discord and I can talk to one of the two developers right now. What's really cool is there's also a Phasmophobia speedrun Discord, and guess what? Both developers are in that Discord too.
That's even better.
So it's awesome. It's really cool, to see that, and that's a definite keep for 2021. I think.
I agree.
All right, so moving on to the next topic. Now, this one's going to probably ruffle a couple of feathers. But I put remakes and ports of amazing games. Here's the thing, guys. We've talked about Super Mario 3D All-Stars. I believe we've talked about Final Fantasy VII. We've talked about a myriad of different remakes and ports. And it doesn't matter what these developers do. They either do a direct port of a game and people are mad about it, that they didn't do anything extra, or they do something extra and people are mad that they didn't, maintain the original integrity of the game. But I love it. I absolutely love it. I don't care what people have said about 3D All-Stars. I've really enjoyed it. I don't know. For me, I want to see that continue. I keep playing on our nostalgia, and I'll tell you, I've made this point before. Nintendo and these companies, whenever they're doing these remakes and ports, they don't care about you and your nostalgia. That's not their point in these ports. The point in these ports is to bring new people to play games where they may not have had the opportunity to do so. There is no younger kid outside of the speedrunning community. There's no younger kid or teen or young adult that's going out right now buying a Nintendo 64 and playing Super Mario 64 on the Nintendo 64.
Right.
Like, I can guarantee you that. However, there is that kid that's sitting in the store looking for the next game to buy and like, ooh, 3D All-Stars? I can play all of these games at once? Let me check that out. That's what they're playing to. They're trying to bring new people in to those franchises that are already well known.
Well, and I know I talked about this in 2 podcasts ago. My only issue with 3D All-Stars is I really wish they hadn't done the Shindo version. Right. And it's not because I'm a 16-star. I ran 16-star and I like LBLJs or BLJs, excuse me. Everyone hates LBLJs. Anyway, but I kind of wish they had done a little bit more with it. Sure, it's easy to port it over, and you're right. It's presenting an old game on a new console to a new generation, right? And that's not a bad thing in any way, shape, or form. Right. I think that me as an older gamer, I wish that they had been like, here, let's tweak it a little bit here and there. That way, it's not just simply just copy pasting it. You know what I mean?
And that was the thing. Yeah, is how it was marketed.
Yeah.
If you look at it, you know, I think if they would have marketed as, hey, yeah, you know, this is what do they call those? It's not a remake or a port. It's like a
Remaster.
Remaster, that's what it's called.
They kind of, they presented it as a remaster, not really a port, right?
So, you know, I don't know. I want to see that continue in 2021.
Yeah.
And going back to what you said with the indie developers, they're already kind of doing that a little bit. There is, you know, bring up Sonic Mania as an example, but there's somebody out there who's been developing Super Mario 64 in the Unity engine, which I don't know how I feel about that. But yeah,
I just don't like Unity in general.
But that's the thing is like, I don't know. I want to see my childhood, you know, ported through. But I also want video game companies to be transparent and say, hey, this is just going to be a direct port so you can play it on a new platform.
Right.
Or, hey, yeah, we've tweaked it a little bit. We've remastered it. Or, hey, we have the original game, but we added these 3 levels to it so you can check it out.
Right.
That's what I would like to see in 2021. And hopefully these companies will continue that. They're obviously finding it lucrative because they did it in 2020 and it worked. As a matter of fact, I think here in the next month or two, 3D All-Stars is going away forever, if I'm not mistaken.
That's, I think it's March that they're getting rid of it. Yeah.
It's only a limited time, which is perfectly fine. And it's a great way to market it. It's absolutely brilliant. People are mad at it, but it's super smart.
Right.
Like if I tell you, hey, I'm going to come out with a port of this game and you can only get it for a couple of months, heck yeah, those sales are going to be awesome. I don't blame them for that. Anyway.
Well, and the resale is going to be cool. I'm interested in the resale of it, so.
And I think that's what's kind of happening also is they're just like Apple. You know, they're trying to keep that value. If you go right now, go into a retro game store, go look at any Mario title versus any other title. Legit. Mario and Zelda, you're looking at, you know, 30, 40, 50, 60 bucks for a cartridge. But on the flip side, you look at WCW versus NWO Revenge and it's like $4.
Yeah.
So,
or sometimes even cheaper than that.
Right. So, I mean, I get it. I completely understand it. By the way, just as a tip for you speedrunners out there, the Japanese cartridges and things like that are typically cheaper than the U.S. cartridges.
Well, I think I got my Japanese cartridge for like $5-10.
Exactly. And the reason why is because the only people buying those are either people who can speak Japanese or speedrunners.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
And kind of on that vein, and going to the last point here for keep it in 2021, quality over quantity, and Cyberpunk 2077 has been kind of, we've talked about it a lot, but it's a really good example of, well, we're just trying to push out the game. We're trying to put out as much as we can, right? Take your time, and you know who did a great job with this is Nintendo. I want to commend Nintendo on Paper Mario and the Origami King.
Yes. Oh my god.
They didn't announce it until like a month ahead of time, and then all of a sudden they were just like, "Hey, we're coming out with this game." And we were just like, wait, what? You're coming out with what? And you're releasing it when? And it was just, it blew everyone's mind. More of that, because I mean, we had no idea what was going on as far as that goes. We didn't know that there was going to be a Paper Mario. I mean, it was kind of hinted at, but no one, Nintendo had never officially said, hey, we're releasing this. And they took their time with it and they developed a good game. I mean, and you can have your opinions on whether you liked it or not. I know you liked it, you enjoyed it. And I've heard opinions of people saying that they didn't really like it that much, because of the whole nostalgia factor of it, especially with Nintendo. But you got a quality title. It was a quality game. It wasn't a buggy game that you get like you have with Cyberpunk 2077, and it was just a generally good game. And more of that sort of thing. And in 2021, where we get quality titles, where we get quality games, we're not having a developer or a company just pushing out as much as they can like all the time.
Exactly.
And that's it. I mean, you look at Madden, right? I mean, I've seen so many videos about Madden games and how they're just pumping out the same game every single year, and they're getting worse. Actually,
Yeah, they are.
Give us a quality title. That's all we're asking for.
Yeah, and as far as the Paper Mario goes, and as a matter of fact, it just a light bulb hit me. I'm probably going to play it on stream because the story is great. It's the first game that I've 100%ed in a long time, and I did it in like 3 days. I agree with you. There was no big marketing campaign. There was no sneak peek trailer videos. There was nothing, and the product was great.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell that they really spent time and they wanted something just a little bit different. Of course, the combat system's a little bit different and things like that. But I think they did a really good job. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to say that with Nintendo for a little while, but I think they did a really good job with the Origami King. Super Mario Odyssey, which I have thousands of hours in that game from speedrunning that game. And that game, even though I do enjoy it, I feel that there was some kind of laziness in there. Like there's 880 unique moons, so they just kind of just threw moons everywhere.
Yeah.
But I agree. I'm really hoping that quality increases because now that I'm in school, I told you I'm back in school trying to become a software engineer myself. Video games are some of the hardest to program. It's not like it's just copy and paste. Let's put this on here and up here we have a game. Let's release it. So it's like people complain about Grand Theft Auto. Could you imagine if they released Grand Theft Auto 6 and it is trash? Mm-hmm. How bad that will be. They know
the outrage.
They have to spend time. All right, so we're looking at maybe 80 hours of gameplay, which is going to take years to develop. Mm-hmm. They have to spend the time to make sure, hey, everything's good. Everything looks great. I don't know. I agree with you on the quality over quantity. I don't need a new release every year. I've got a video. Look, I can tell you on Steam right now, I probably have 30 games that are in the queue to play. Mm-hmm. I'm okay with waiting for a good quality product.
Well, and I talked about, I kind of ragged on Nintendo for not creating a Mario Kart for dedicated specifically for the Switch. I mean, you have Mario Kart 8, but that was a Wii U title that they kind of revamped for the Switch. They added some new features, and I don't want to make it sound like weird, but while I wish that they would push one, through the system and they would develop it, I feel like they should have developed one earlier, and they should have they should at least have one in development. You know what? They might be doing a Paper Mario thing where they say 2 months before the release, hey, Mario Kart for the Switch.
Yeah.
Right. As much as I wish that they had been pushing that sooner, and they should have been doing it a long time ago if they haven't already. I mean, you had the Zelda, you had the Mario game, and then you had Paper Mario, and you still haven't had a Mario Kart game. So I would rather have a quality Mario Kart game than have it sooner. So anyway.
Well, and here's the thing, and this is kind of my last, last thing I'm going to say about this topic. We've got an upcoming release on the Nintendo Switch. February 12th, 2021 is the current scheduled release date for Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury. Mm-hmm. So, as you know, Super Mario 3D World released on the Wii U. It's now coming to the Switch with local and online multiplayer support. And that just got released, like a week or two ago, where they said that they're going to do it, adding Bowser's Fury and adding multiplayer fun. I think that's a good example of taking the time. Yeah, we haven't had a side-scrolling Mario for the Switch yet, so we are gonna move 3D World over. We're gonna add this Bowser's Fury deal, and we're gonna add a whole bunch of multiplayer stuff. So I'm excited to see what happens. So apparently, While everything coming to the new version is yet to be revealed, all of the characters will have increased running speed, the ability to climb higher, and gyro control support. So it is adding a couple of things into Super Mario 3D World that I'm excited for.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Well, so we'll keep all of that in 2021, hopefully.
Yes.
Keep it. You know, it's been a little bit longer on that topic than I expected, but it's okay. It's fine. We're gonna, but yeah, we need to keep all that in 2021, in my opinion. And I think that your points are totally valid as well. But
here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
And a good segue, and it just hit me, so forgive me. I know I'm going off script just a little bit.
You're good.
But one of the things that we haven't kept in 2021, Pogchamp.
So,
what the heck is going on?
So I don't want to spend too much time on this topic, just because I think that everything has been said already, and I think that everyone has the exact same opinion on this. But we kind of have to talk about it, right? Pogchamp got removed from Twitch in lieu of the recent events at the Capitol, and not to go into politics too much, because we don't want to do that here. Again, one of the things we're trying to get rid of in 2021 is politics and gaming. But what's his name? You said his name was Gutex?
Gutex.
Yeah, he apparently made some comments after the whole occurrence at the Capitol recently, and in lieu of that, Twitch has decided to remove Pogchamp as an emote from being able to be used, which I understand, and I don't at the same time. Like, I'm kind of on the fence as far as that goes.
And I've sat and thought about this for a while. And to kind of put some context, he actually posted a video of the young lady who lost her life at the Capitol. So I get it. I think it was the right thing to do. However, and I know we could probably hear my son agreeing with me. This
is the Gaming Dads podcast. There have to be kids every podcast. At least one kid has to yell.
So while I agree with Twitch, and completely understand, Gutex, of course, has not commented on the removal of Pogchamp. Mm-hmm. Here's my message to Twitch. So, if the Twitch CEO, COO, any of those guys are listening to the podcast right now, which we know they are because everybody listens to the Gaming Dads podcast. Guys, if you're going to take a stance on something, that's absolutely wonderful. However, there have been complaints about, women being harassed on Twitch. There have been complaints about transphobia, homophobia, things like that. Those things need to be addressed as well. Mm-hmm. I think that this definitely was a media type move, that they were receiving kind of back blow a little bit from members saying, hey, this guy's a moron. He posted this video. It needs to go away. And I don't blame them for it. But, Twitch, it's time to start focusing on all of the things that are wrong with the platform and the culture itself. Mm-hmm. And I thought that it was going to kind of start when they started banning words like simp and things like that. But imagine banning those types of words, but not words that are derogatory towards very specific groups. So while I understand and agree with it, and it's kind of created a firestorm on Twitter of people just posting their face saying, I could be the new Pogchamp. I don't know. I think it was very, very, very much politically motivated and rushed.
Well, and I kind of agree with you, but I'm going to go ahead and play devil's advocate here. I think when we talk about the community, right, I think that Pogchamp is bigger than just Gutex at this point. Right. I think that removing it actually is harmful to the community, because it no longer is just Gutex's face. It's Pogchamp. It's Pog. Right. It is that, right? We say that colloquially now. It's not, you say that in the Twitch chat. But it's not just in the Twitch chat anymore. It's in Discord. We say it in real life, for God's sake. Like, it's so beyond just Gutex's face. And I think that removing that from the community is just very harmful, and I think it's a band-aid on a bigger problem, and I 100% agree with you. I think that there are other issues within Twitch that need to be taken care of that are much more of a problem than just simply this. I think that I think it's bigger. And I read an article about it, and it's like, it was even said at the beginning of the article, like Pogchamp has become like, it's almost like within the dictionary at this point. Right. It's become that colloquial. And I think that I don't want to say it's a form of censorship or anything like that, but I just think that that's harmful to the community to remove something that's become so rooted within gaming, especially on Twitch.
Well, and I'm going to shout out, I don't know if you're familiar with Sean Plott. Sean Plott is a part of Day 9 TV, where they do podcasts and go into gaming and pretty big, 230,000 followers on Twitter. But I really love the suggestion. So I'm just going to read this tweet directly. It says, "Yo at Twitch, suggestion for Pogchamp. Create a database of streamer and or general faces, and whenever someone types Pogchamp, display one of those faces at random. It would give a really nice crowd feel to chat spamming Pogchamp and allow the meaning to be tied to all of us instead."
See, that's what I'm talking about. Like, it's so clearly a community thing. It's so rooted in who we are as gamers at this point, because it's so profound. It's spread so profoundly.
I was streaming last night, and I say Pogchamp all the time.
Oh yeah.
And I was trying not to. It was hard too. But for me, I think that's probably been the best suggestion that I've seen. Like, hey, when you start a Twitch account, or you're a streamer, you have to send us a Pogchamp emote, and it just kind of randomizes it. That'd be super cool.
I agree. I think all partners should take a photo of themselves doing the Pogchamp face, and just that's like part of being a partner, is that you get randomized into the Pogchamp.
Bottom line for me, and this is probably the last thing I say on this topic, but I really think that Twitch missed an opportunity with this. They had that knee-jerk reaction and didn't take a day or so to sit down, because let's be perfectly honest, nobody knows who the hell Gootecks is.
Not anymore, at least.
Exactly. Yeah. And because I think Gootecks now has become like this, I don't know, like political something, nothing to really do with gaming anymore. So I don't know who Gootecks was, and I've been saying Pogchamp for years now. So I think Twitch really missed out on an opportunity to kind of unite its community a little bit and say, hey, look, we're getting rid of Pogchamp, but this is what our idea moving forward is.
Yeah. Well, and putting that topic aside here, another quick topic here. We're going to keep this one short. I know we talked about this briefly before the last podcast, and we kept the Charlie Brown interview to be one podcast, but Kentucky Fried Chicken and Bud Light have come out with consoles. And I think the best part about my favorite part about the Kentucky Fried Chicken one, the KFC console, is that there's a slot to heat up your fried chicken, and it uses the system to heat up your chicken.
And, it uses the actual heat. So let me just kind of go over quick specs here. Custom Cooler Master NC100. It's an Intel 9 Extreme Compute Element processor. It's got a let me take a look. It does have a GPU slot on it. Let's see. It is VR ready, 240 frames per second output with up to 240 hertz output, 4K TV. At first, I thought this was a meme when it got sent to me. So definitely shout outs to Chaotic for getting this on the podcast. But, I thought it was a meme.
I did too. I saw it and I was like, "There's no way this is real."
It is.
It's 100% real.
And it's got a chicken warmer in it. So
God,
it's essentially just a GPU inside of a Cooler Master chassis. So I think it's pretty cool, and I haven't seen the price point on it. but I'll kind of look that up just to see. But Bud Light as well. I think it's called like the BL6 or something.
The BL6, yeah.
That was announced back in November of 2020, and this one's a console. Now, I think this one's going to be more like an emulator. Because I don't think they've announced really what type of games would be on there. And this isn't something that you can just buy in the store. I know that they're doing it as a part of a charity event on shopbeergear.com. And they're donating all of the proceeds from that charity auction to the National Restaurant Association Educational Foundation, which is really cool. Because that foundation is helping out people during COVID in the restaurant industry. But basically, if you're not sure what the BL6 is, it's a Windows 10 PC equipped with an i7 CPU, 16 megs of RAM. It's got a built-in projector, and it's in a case that looks like a 6-pack of Bud Light, which is really cool. It says it has an Intel Iris graphics card instead of a beefy graphics card, but it still has enough oomph, as it says, to play Tekken 7 and Soul Calibur 6, and will be pre-installed on the console, along with RBI Baseball and a few other games. So,
it's a frat boy's wet dream, really.
Exactly.
It's exactly what it is.
I'm thinking that's really cool. I hadn't noticed that before, that it was done for charity. So that's really, really cool that they're doing that. Well,
and I think it's funny, this isn't the first time that we've seen this sort of thing. I mean, you've seen, it reminds me of the Tommy Hilfiger Game Boy Color. Like you've seen like companies team up with gaming console developers before, but you've never. I think that there was I can't remember off the top of my head, but I remember researching and seeing random companies building consoles or something like that. I mean, you had the meme a couple years ago of who was it? Was it Soulja Boy. Soulja Boy was developing his own console, and that ended up being just like a Chinese ripoff thing, right? But I think this is an interesting way for companies to kind of like push gaming and that sort of thing. And then I think it's really cool that they're doing it for charity to a certain degree. It's helping out, especially with COVID, it's shutting down all these restaurants, especially family-owned restaurants. So helping those people out, really, really important. I think that's really nice of them. And it's not just like, here, go to our store, pay for your goods, and then donate at the register. It's not that. It's literally, hey, we're actually giving you something.
Exactly.
And if you buy it, we'll donate those funds to this. So I think that's neat. I think it's cool that they're teaming up with both of them are teaming up with Intel for this.
I think it's cool.
I think it's neat. I like it. It's a novelty thing.
And just so that you know, I mean, because that KFC console is pretty beefy, they're estimating the price point to be around $2,000.
So it's novelty. It's novelty.
It is. It's definitely novelty. Now, however, so just as we're recording this, 1 hour ago, KFC Gaming on Twitter is teasing and I Love You, Colonel Sanders, a finger-looking good dating simulator.
Oh my God.
So, I really like this. This is really cool.
Hold on. Did you say KFC dating simulator?
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
my God.
Yeah, so I'm going to retweet this right now. So, of course, here, I'm just going to put what?
Oh
this God. While recording.
The best first date ever. Oh. Go to KFC, get some fried chicken, mashed potatoes, that biscuit. Oh,
that's amazing.
The biscuit.
God. So here's the thing. I think it's really cool. I don't think this is something that's going to be like actually competing with Microsoft or Sony or
novelty. It's novelty.
It's novelty, and I think that's a really good take for them because they know they can't compete right now. One day we will have a company that can come out and compete with what Xbox and PlayStation and Nintendo are doing. But that day is not today.
No.
But that's okay.
You're gonna see these in the thrift store or in the antique shop in like 30-40 years for like a couple $100, and people will be buying it as a collector thing.
It looks like there is going to be a limited supply too, so they're trying to see if they can maintain that value. I think it's a cool idea. It's a cool marketing idea for KFC. So yeah.
Well, and to round things off here with the Gaming Dads podcast, we're getting low on time here, but I wanted to talk about video games. Have gotten so big, right?
Right.
I mean, you look at, again, bringing it up again, Cyberpunk 2077, such a massive game. But you've gotten, especially, I think it started with Skyrim, really. Skyrim was such a massive game. That was a game that you couldn't play in a day. I mean, sure, you can speed run it in a day, whatever, moving on. But if you're going to actually play the game, if you're actually going to play the story and do everything like that and play it as it's intended to be played, quote unquote, even if you break the game, like I broke the game and I'm having a great time with it, it's still taking me forever to get through everything, right? Exactly. It takes time. You haven't had a whole lot of games that you can just pick up and put down.
Right.
I was thinking about this. I have my NES, I have my Nintendo Entertainment System, and I have Tetris for that. And I like turning it on and playing it on my TV because I like having Tetris on a big screen. Of course, I have my Game Boy Color, and I have my Game Boy OG Game Boy version of Tetris that I play occasionally. But it's a small screen, it's portable. But you don't have a whole lot of games anymore that you can just pick up, put down, and you can play with in under 30 minutes.
I would say outside of like the mobile realm, like on your phone.
Well, and that's the thing, right? You have mobile games, but even the problem with mobile games is that they're all funded based off of microtransaction and ads.
Oh god,
so it's like, and 9 times out of 10, it's a crappy game that there's like 100 different versions of that same game. Like you've got what is it? You've got what's the Candy Crush, right? You've got about 100 different versions of Candy Crush. You've got like, there's the one where it's like you're on a bike or whatever, and you have to draw shapes. There's 100 different versions of that. You've got 100 different versions of the farming thing.
Clash of Clans. There's
100 different versions of that. And 9 times out of 10, other than like the major ones like Candy Crush, which even Candy Crush has ads and has a timer and stuff like that, but like Clash of Clans doesn't necessarily have ads anymore. But most of the time it's microtransactions or they're game mechanics that prevent you from progressing in the game quicker.
There was one that was it was like where you had an army and it's a multiplayer game and at the beginning it's great because you upgrade your troops. It's only like a 5-minute wait. But I was doing some research when I was playing the game, and at the higher levels of the game you would click on a training of a particular troop or something. It would say, all right, your training will be ready in 108 days unless you pay us money.
And that kind of ruins the whole mobile gaming market. I mean, you had the Mario Kart, which was added to which was an app, a mobile game, and I think that in and of itself it was a great game, but what ruined it was the monetization. I mean,
there was another one, Super Mario Run or something like that.
Yeah, that got destroyed by monetization, and it's really hard to find a good game on your phone that you can play that doesn't involve those monetization in the whole thing, right? One game I have on my phone, it's a sports game. I think that I'm going to shout it out big time because it does it perfectly. Retro Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
You have Retro Bowl?
Yes, I do.
Oh my god, it does it. Okay, that is the only game that I have found that has done the mobile thing perfectly. It has the upgrade that you can do, which upgrades a bunch of different things in a big way, but you can play that game without upgrades
for hours.
And I had before I got a new phone, I had 34 seasons that I had played.
I think I'm on like season 8 right now.
Yeah, so I just restarted, so I'm like on season 3. But it's a game that gets harder as each season goes by. you can upgrade it. So they just added some new features to it, such as increasing the salary cap. Initially, you had a salary cap of I think of $150,000. You can pay though. You get these things called coach points,
Yes.
and you can spend coach points to increase your salary cap so you can get better players. And it doesn't require any sort of monetization. It just requires you playing the game. So it does it perfectly.
So good. I'm so happy you brought that up.
It's a fun game. It's a fun, simple game that you can just pick up, put it down, and it's super fun. It doesn't do anything innovative at all, but it's just a fun little game.
Right.
So that's the problem with the mobile market. But I wanna highlight a couple of games that aren't mobile that do a very good job of that pick up, put down.
Right.
A couple of years back, I don't know if you know of this game, Cat Planet.
I do not.
It kind of got blown up a little bit by a YouTube video. I think this was back in 2008 or 2007. This video was made. It's this guy who played. It's called Cat Planet. You look it up on YouTube. It's this guy who narrates himself playing the game. It's like a 15-minute video, and it's just this. He's got the most rampant ADHD I've ever heard of in my life.
Sweet.
And so it's a hilarious video. Go watch it. But it's a browser game. Well, it's not actually. Excuse me. It's not a browser game. It's a downloadable game. It's a small game. It's a side scroller. Very much in the vein of the original Legend of Zelda, where you had different panels that you walk through.
Yeah, okay, I see it.
And it's a super simple game, but you can pick it up and put it down in a very, very short period of time. Speed running it, you can play it in about 3 minutes. It's a great game on the computer, man, and it doesn't cost a single dollar. You download it in a couple seconds, and you're playing it, and you can play that over and over and over again. A game that you everyone's heard of. It's a pick up, put down because it's level based, and you play each level in about 10-20 minutes. Untitled Goose Game.
Yes.
On the Switch. I think it's an amazing game. I mean, obviously you can play the game very quickly if you speed run it, but if you play each level, and they came out with a 2-player, by the way, and I've been playing that with my wife. Amazing 2-player. And the 2-player, the multiplayer, was an update that was completely free. You didn't have to pay for anything if you had the game. So, and it doesn't cost any more extra, which is a great thing by a smaller developer pushing out something and saying, hey, we're gonna give you a mechanic completely free.
Exactly.
Pick up, put down. And I think I just want more of those games. And you've seen them move away from mobile games. You don't I mean, when was the last time you had a Game Boy made?
Exactly.
The PlayStation Vita was the last kind of mobile console that you've had. Other than the DS.
Well, I mean, so Nintendo, I know when they marketed that, hey, this is going to take over your home console and have the portability of like a DS. So I think that was their thought process, so that they kind of merged both of those groups into one. But you're right. I mean, I went into the retro store the other day, and I completely forgot about some of the things like the remember the Game Gear?
Yep.
And how they used to make those games back in the day. I remember my mom hated it because the Game Gear took 6 batteries and it would last about 15 minutes. But you're right. So, and I think the invention of cell phones and having smartphones has kind of killed that, to be perfectly honest.
Well, and it's funny because you can download emulators on your phone now. Like I have an emulator on my phone, and I, when I'm bored, I play Yu-Gi-Oh! The Eternal Duelist.
Awesome.
So I remember playing that from when I was a kid, and I was just like, I want to play a little Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's a fun little thing. But you can play Pokemon, for God's sakes, on your smartphone with an emulator. But you haven't had anything new created for that, really. It's all these giant titles. I mean, everything's got to be bigger. The console itself is bigger, for God's sakes. I mean, even the Switch, it's technically mobile, quote unquote. But what was the last console that you could fit in your pocket? The DS?
Yeah, it's got to be.
That's what I'm saying, man. I want more games that I mean, especially me as a dad, and I know you can relate to this. You don't have a whole lot of time.
No.
I mean, doing the podcast. I mean, we've been doing this for an hour now, and I mean that's taken up like all of our time today, and the rest of the day is going to be spent probably with our families.
Exactly.
So I mean, I want a game. I want something that I can pick up and put down quickly for little spurts of time that I have during the day. I mean, for instance, when I'm putting down my son, right, to go to bed for the night, sometimes he's a little restless and he doesn't want to go straight down to bed. So we have the 15-minute gap where we let him kind of fuss for a little while and see if he goes to bed, and then we'll go in there and try to help him go to sleep.
Exactly.
Well, what am I doing for those 15 minutes? I don't really have anything to do for 15 minutes. That's just that I can pick up and put down in 15 minutes. I'll play a little Retro Bowl. I'll pick up and play a little Tetris. Like I want something new though, that it's not recycled, that was developed 40 years ago, that I would love to do. That's new.
I agree. And those are all really good options. I mean, Tetris and Nintendo's done a good job. They've got Super Mario 35 that they came out with, which is it's more of a multiplayer, of course, a knockout game. Along with Tetris 99, those are quick games for me. Like, hey, I've got a couple of minutes, and I work at home in a call center, so there's times where, I don't get a call for 5 or 10 minutes, and, rather than just sitting there, I'd love a game that I could just pick up and, I get a call, all right, let me press pause, turn around, do my thing, and then, come back to. So I would like to see more, those quick 20-minute games.
Well, and we talk about cell phones, right? Smartphones. You know what I would love to see? I would love to see a company, maybe a small developer. It doesn't need to be Xbox. It doesn't need to be Microsoft or Sony or Nintendo. It can be a small developer. Who'd be great at this is Devolver. Devolver would be perfect for this. Create a mobile app. That's an emulator. Right. Quote unquote, create a mobile app where you create small games that you can buy. I would buy this. I would buy this app. If you built an app that was like $20, right? And you could purchase other games on that mobile app, and they were quality games that you could play, that were pick up and put down games, or something that you can pause. And the games were like $5-10, right? Yeah, I would buy that. I would buy that because it's something I can do. It's something I can do for that 20 minutes. It's not something that I need to buy a giant console and I need to sit around and wait for it to download. I mean, that's been the big complaint with Call of Duty is it's how many gigabytes does that thing take up? Amount. It's insane, and I have to wait around for it to download, and then I have to wait for the updates and everything like that. And God forbid you get into a multiplayer game that takes 10 minutes, and then you get into a game, and then it's just like or even single player, like it takes forever to play the game because you're waiting to get through some dialogue or whatever, and you want to immerse yourself in the game, but it's 20 minutes of dialogue that you have to sit through.
Exactly.
I just want to sit down. I want to pick up and put down game.
I'll give one more example before we wrap up this topic. At least on my side, Fallout Shelter.
Yes,
it's so good. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, they just announced, so that you're aware, and I guess they added it back in May, but they're just coming public with it. You can actually play Fallout Shelter on your Tesla. on your Tesla. Yeah. But that's one of those games that's really like super quick, and I don't even have to pause. I just close the game if I have something to do, and then I resume the game. So yeah, Fallout Shelter is, to me, an exact definition of what we're talking about.
Well, and that's a passive game, and there's a bunch of passive games that are decent on mobile. And I mean, you can play Fallout Shelter for God's sakes on Steam, on your computer. So
PlayStation 4, I am on the Switch.
So me personally, I want less passive games because I think passive games are really easy to make. You think of like you remember Facebook had the farming game. What was that? What was that? What was
Farmville.
A Facebook game? Farmville? Yeah.
Yeah. Which just died, by the way. I hope you know that.
Oh, geez. It finally did. I remember that in middle school, man.
The only reason why it died is because Flash support was discontinued in January. So that's the only reason why the game died.
Okay, real quick moment of silence for Flash. Okay, we're good.
That is pretty sad. Oh my god.
Oh god, all the Flash games, and that's another one, right? You had the browser Flash games, but I want more active pick up, put down games, less passive games, more pick up and put down, kind of like the Retro Bowl, kind of like Tetris. I mean, you think Donkey Kong from back in the day, right? And you know what? It doesn't necessarily need to be just like a pick up, put down in 5 minutes or in like 2 minutes. I mean, you can allow me to pause it and let me pick it back up, exactly like you were saying. So, if developers did that more, I think that you would see a lot of profit there, because the market is just so saturated with these giant games. You talk about Super Mario Odyssey, right? There's how many moons again?
And 880 unique, 999 that you can get, and that's the thing is because it's 100% consumer driven.
Yep. Where
people want more and more and more and more and more and more and more, but there's also people out there that just want those simple things. I've really enjoyed the Super Mario 35 that the Nintendo has done, just because it's a quick thing. I don't know. I was just thinking about it. I would love if they came out with a true Mario All-Stars that had all of the Mario games, including the 2D side-scrolling like Super Mario World and all that, all in one spot. Because God, while I'm at work, that's what would be up all the time.
Yeah. Being able to pause it, especially.
Exactly. Being able to stop. Or hey, I just finished this level of Super Mario Bros. 3. I don't have to continue on because I'm in the world area now. I can put it down, take my call, and pick it right back up, start the next level, because the levels are only like, what, a minute or two, if that?
Yeah, exactly. So not to beat a dead horse, but yeah, it's just quality, quick titles that I can pick up and put down. I mean, it would just be so nice, and it would be so refreshing, because again, everything's just make it bigger. Yeah, it's like, no, let's make a quality title that takes 5-10 minutes to play, and then it has replayability. That's the biggest thing, is it has replayability, because these big games, they don't have replayability. Once you play it one time, you've played it 100 times. Yeah. So unless you can find a new way to play it, like Skyrim, like I played it through the normal way, and then I'm now playing it the broken way, which is using the mechanics and just breaking all the mechanics without any cheats or mods or anything like that. So anyway, that's all I got to say about that.
Well, it's been a good week for the dads. Like I said, I'm really excited to see, and I do want to send a shout out to everybody that's been listening in, sending in suggestions. I know Chaotic he typically every week has been giving us really good suggestions. Remember, you can reach out to us. We're both on Twitter. We are both in Discord. I know that on any platform that you're listening to us on right now, down in the description, it's going to have the timestamps for everything, but it's also going to have all of our contact info. And I know in my personal Discord, I've got a little section, I think called like the Dad's Man Cave or something, where we kind of talk about different gaming dads things. So be sure to reach out to us. Scotch and I enjoy doing this every single week. I look forward to every Saturday, even though today I slept in a little bit.
Well, you're a dad. You need a little bit of extra sleep, man.
Exactly.
You're dad.
But that's the thing. Reach out to us. Let us know what you want to hear. We don't always agree, and that's what's really good. But yeah, kind of foreshadowing for next week. We've got some really good topics that we're kind of brainstorming now. And the biggest thing that I heard back from the Charlie Brown interview from last week is more interviews.
Yeah.
So, we'll definitely be looking out over the next month or two, adding interviews. I've reached out to a couple of people, and we've got big things coming for the Gaming Dads podcast.
Yeah, so like Thera was saying, check us out on Discord, Twitter. Reach out to us. We're willing to talk to you if you want to hear something specific. Let us know. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it. I'm about to go make some pancakes, man. I'm a little hungry, and I'm gonna hang out with my family. My son just woke up, so I'm gonna hang out with him. I know you got your kids to go hang out with your kids. You know, gotta be dadly.
Exactly.
But yeah, anything else you got, man?
That's gonna be it for this week for me.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. Again, reach out to us. Check out all of our links and everything like that. And as always, good gaming.
Absolutely.